everything you need to know about Julius Caesar, Act 2, Scene 2. We are on the same evening as we were at Brutus's house. It's now approaching morning, and it is the March 15th, the Ides of March, which we know it's the day that Caesar is going to get assassinated. Well, there's still thunder and lightning, the residue of the storm, but Caesar comes in his nightgown, his pajamas, basically. And he says, "Nor heaven nor earth have been at peace tonight. Thrice hath Calpurnia in her sleep cried out, 'Help ho, they murder Caesar. Who's within?'" So, right, he's just making note that, it's obviously the storm has been raging all night long, but also his wife has had kind of a storm in her own mind that she's been having nightmares, and 3 times she's cried out and been woken up saying that someone tries to murder Caesar. Again, it's Shakespeare trying to add some drama to the play, as well as the whole idea of this kind of mystic, supernatural element to what's going on. Caesar is calling for a servant. He comes in, "My lord, go bid the priest do present sacrifice and bring me their opinions of success." So again, we already heard in the previous scene that Caesar was getting superstitious. So he's sending his priest's word to immediately do a sacrifice and give me some omen or sign for the day. "I will, my lord." Enter Calpurnia, his wife. "What mean you, Caesar? Think you to walk forth? You shall not stir out of your house today." So she comes in and tells him, "What's up? You're not leaving the house." Caesar shouts forth, "The things that threaten me ne'er look but on my back. When they see the face of Caesar, they are vanished." In other words, like when people actually see my face or see my face, they get scared and they run away. So I'm not going to be frightened by what ifs and potential things. Calpurnia says, "Caesar, I never stood on ceremonies and I never paid attention to omens before. Yet now they fright me. There is one within, probably a servant, besides the things that we have seen and heard, recounts most horrid sights seen by the watch," which would be the night watchman. "A lioness hath whelped in the streets," which means to give birth. So a lion gave birth in the streets. "And graves have yawned and yielded up their dead. Fierce fiery warriors fought upon the clouds in ranks and squadrons and right form of war," which is a military formation, "which drizzled blood upon the Capitol. The noise of battle hurtled in the air. Horses did neigh and dying men did groan, and ghosts did shriek and squeal about the streets. O Caesar, these things are beyond all use, and I do fear them." So she's retelling these things that she's heard about that have happened in the night, and she says they're all supernatural. What's interesting is if you go through them, they kind of can be explained, right? "A lioness hath whelped in the streets," meaning like a lion probably escaped, and a pregnant lion at that, and gave birth. "Graves have yawned." When there's a lot of flooding in certain areas, actually bodies can rise to the surface and yielded up their dead. So a lot of flooding could have brought people out of their graves, especially if they weren't buried well. "Fierce fiery warriors fought upon the clouds in ranks and squadrons in right form of war." That sounds like lightning, right? Fiery warriors in the sky sounds like lightning. "In ranks and squadrons, which drizzled blood upon the Capitol." What would be drizzling down but rain? "The noises of battle hurtled in the air." That would sound like thunder, right, from the lightning. "Horses did neigh, dying men did groan." So this loud crashing and booming would have freaked horses out, and maybe even some old dying men as well. "Ghosts shrieking and squealing about the streets." Well, I mean, what would that be besides probably wind? So all of these things have like explanations, but she says these are contrary to all experience. And so she's kind of putting this superstitious take on all of this stuff. Caesar responds, "What can be avoided whose end is purposed by the mighty gods?" In other words, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. "Yet Caesar shall go forth, for these predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar." So he's basically saying, these things could be bad news for the entire world, for everybody, not just me as a person. Here's her response. "When beggars die, there are no comets seen. The heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes." In other words, if it's a nobody, we're not going to get a sign from heaven. But an important person is going to be recognized, and the sign would be for them. Caesar responds again. "Cowards die many times before their death. The valiant never taste of death but once. Of all the wonders that I have yet heard, it seems to me most strange that men should fear, seeing that death, a necessary end, will come when it will come. So this is an interesting philosophy, right? If you're fearful, you'll imagine death and see death all around you all the time. If you're brave, you're only going to experience death when you actually suffer it, right? He thinks it's weird that you can are worried about it because you can't avoid death. It's going to come when it comes, so why worry about it? Servant comes back. What say the augurers? The augurers would be the priests or the soothsayers that he has. They would not have you stir forth today, plucking the entrails of an offering forth. They could not find a heart within the beast. So they sacrificed this animal, and they pulled out its guts, yum, and there was no heart to be found, which, right, we know that's not possible, but again, it's to add to the mystery and this whole superstitious aspect, supernatural aspect of the book. So there wasn't a heart in this beast that they could find. Maybe they dropped it on the floor. The gods do this in shame of cowardice. Caesar should be a beast without a heart if he should stay at home today for fear. So in other words, he interprets this to be this is, if I don't go, this shows that I don't have a heart. I'm fearful. So that's a negative spin on me being cowardly. So I'm not going to do it. Caesar shall not. Danger knows full well that Caesar is more dangerous than he. We are 2 lions littered in one day, and I the elder and more terrible, and Caesar shall go forth. It's really personification here of danger, right? Danger is a lion, and I'm that lion's older brother, and we were born on the same day, and I'm the older brother, and I'm worse. So in other words, danger is my little brother. Really arrogant and conceited, and trying to be really strong and brave, right? Calpurnia says, Alas, my lord, your wisdom is consumed in confidence. Do not go forth today. Call it my fear that keeps you in the house and not your own. We'll send Mark Antony to the Senate house, and he shall say, You are not well. Let me upon my knee prevail in this. So she's begging him on her knees not to go, and she wants to send an excuse that he's sick with Mark Antony. So she does not want his overconfidence to make it so that he goes out and exposes himself to danger with all of these signs and omens. Mark Antony shall say, I'm not well, and for thy humor, for your whim, I will stay at home. So basically he concedes and says, I'll do it for you. And then Decius comes, and we know he came for a reason. If you remember from the previous scene, that he has heard that Caesar has become superstitious, and so he's going to be there to talk him into going. Here's Decius Brutus. He shall tell them so. Caesar, all hail, good morrow, worthy Caesar. I come to fetch you to the Senate house. I'm going to walk you to the Senate, where we're going to kill you. Doesn't say that, though. And you are come in a very happy time to bear my greeting to the senators and tell them that I will not come, cannot is false, and that I dare not falser. I will not come today. Tell them so, Decius. So he doesn't say I'm sick. He just says it's not that I can't come. It's not that I am afraid to come. I'm just not going to go. Tell them I'm not going to come. And that's it. Right? She then, Calpurnia, tries to butt in here. Say he is sick. Give him an excuse. Caesar says, Shall Caesar send a lie? I'm not going to lie and say I'm sick. Have I in conquest stretched mine arm so far to be afraid to tell graybeards? Graybeards would be the old men in the Senate. The truth? Decius, go tell them Caesar will not come. In other words, I've conquered territories. I've won military victories. Am I going to be afraid to tell some old senators that I'm sick and it's not truth? Just tell them I'm not going to come. He says, Most mighty Caesar, let me know some cause, lest I be laughed at when I tell them so. In other words, just give me an excuse. He's trying to figure out what's really going on here. The cause is in my will. I will not come. That is enough to satisfy the Senate. Right? In other words, I don't need to make excuses, and they don't need to have a reason because I'm Caesar. Again, this arrogance is coming out, right? But for your private satisfaction, because I love you, I will tell you now. I will let you know. So, that's their reason, but we're friends. So I'm going to tell you what happened. And here's the reason, he says. Calpurnia, here my wife, stays me at home. She dreamt tonight she saw my statue, which, like a fountain with 100 spouts, did run pure blood, and many lusty Romans came smiling and did bathe their hands in it. So this is the dream we now find out what it's about. It's kind of creepy, right? So Caesar is a statue with all of these holes in him, and instead of water coming out of the statue, it's blood. And these Romans, bloodthirsty Romans are around smiling that he's bleeding, and they are washing their hands in his blood. And this she does apply for warnings and portents. Portents is a sign of evil, and evil's imminent. Imminent means about to happen. and on her knee hath begged that I will stay at home today. So he gives Decius the reason. My wife is scared, so she had a bad dream, and I'm going to just humor her and stay home. Decius, this dream is all misinterpreted. That ain't the right way to read it. It was a vision fair and fortunate. Your statue spouting blood in many pipes in which so many smiling Romans bathed signifies that from you great Rome shall suck reviving blood, and that great men shall press for tinctures, stains, relics, and cognizance. Those things are all like souvenirs or badges to remember him by. This by Calpurnia's dream is signified. So his spin is that's actually people wanting, benefit from you, and they're trying to crowd around you and have something to like remember you by because you're so amazing, right? So he's flattering him is what he's basically doing. Someone arrogant who's getting flattered is going to like that. And this is what he says. And this way you have well expounded it. Expounded means to expand upon it. So Caesar likes this interpretation, which we kind of get because it's better to seem like everyone loves you than everyone wants to kill you. But again, he's rather arrogant in this way. Here's how he kind of nails it home then. I have, when you have heard what I can say, and know it now, the Senate hath concluded to give this day a crown to mighty Caesar. It shall send, if you shall send them word you will not come, their minds may change. So he kind of baits the hook, saying, you're going to get a crown if you come. If you just say you're not going to come, maybe not, things may change. Besides, it was a mock apt to be rendered. In other words, it was a opportunity for them to make a mocking statement. If you don't come, for someone to say, break up the Senate till another time when Caesar's wife shall meet with better dreams. Do you want people to say he stayed home because his wife had a bad dream? Maybe when she has a good dream, he'll finally come. All right, so it's kind of like assaulting his ego there. If Caesar hide himself, shall they not whisper, lo, Caesar is afraid? Right? Again, so it's now saying, remember earlier, he's like, I have no fear, I'm not afraid of anything. And now Decius is kind of jabbing him like, you're afraid, you're not brave here. Pardon me, Caesar, for my dear, dear love to your proceeding bids me to tell you this, and reason to my love is liable. In other words, my judgment is not as strong as my affection for you is. So I want to be honest with you, not spare your feelings. So he's trying to kind of come across here like you don't want to miss going today. How foolish do your fears seem now, Calpurnia. I am ashamed I did yield to them. Give me my robe, for I will go. So he basically puts it back in his wife's face because he likes what Decius is saying better, and now his ego has been insulted a little bit, and he doesn't want to seem like a coward. But now, as they said they were going to show up to walk him to the Senate, Brutus, Ligarius, Metellus, Cimber, Casca, Trebonius, Cinna, and Publius show up to walk him to his death. And look where Publius has come to fetch me. Good morrow, Caesar. Welcome, Publius. What, Brutus, are you stirred so early too? Good morrow, Casca, Caius Ligarius. Caesar was ne'er so much your enemy as that same ague which hath made you lean. So here's a guy that Caesar had just pardoned. This what was his name again? His name is Caius Ligarius. He had supported Pompey in the Civil War, and that was the opposite side of Caesar. But now that Pompey has been killed, he has been pardoned by Caesar. So Caesar's trying to kind of let him back in to his good graces. Caesar, 'tis struck an 8. I thank you for your pains and courtesy. Anthony comes in. See, Anthony that revels long o' nights is notwithstanding up. Good morrow. So even Anthony made it this morning. So too to most noble Caesar. Bid them prepare within. I am to blame for to be thus waited for. Now Cinna, now Metellus, what Trebonius? I have an hour's talk in store for you. So he's now talking about what they're going to do when they get to the Senate. Remember that you call on me today. Be near me, that I may remember you. Trebonius says, Caesar, I will. And then it says aside here. So this is what he's kind of thinking, but we don't know what he's thinking unless he says it. And he says this, so near will I be that your best friend shall wish I had been further. In other words, I'm going to be one of them that kills you, and your friends will wish I had not been as close to you as you are saying I should be. Good friends, go in and taste some wine with me, and we, like friends, will straightway go together. So Caesar is kind of calling them in. He's going to give them a little refreshments before they go to the Senate. Again, another aside. This is Brutus. That every like is not the same, O Caesar. The heart of Brutus earns to think about it. In other words, that everyone seems friendly, but inside they're really your enemies. It really causes me sorrow to know that it's come to this. So he's not regretful necessarily. He just feels bad that it's come down to the point where Caesar has to be killed. So there we are with Act 2, Scene 2. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything at all, put it down in the comments and I will get back to you and help you understand anything I didn't cover. All right.